everyone, it's Real and Rod. I am Lynn and you are?
I'm Brian.
Hi, what? How are you?
I'm okay.
Good. Oh, another day.
How's your day?
Yep, another day.
No, how is your day? Not another day.
How is your day? My day is good so far.
You're thinking of Mr. Liplock again, aren't you?
Well, maybe because I was playing a little clip of Mr. Liplock before
we
started.
You're thinking about Mr. Liplock.
Oh, let me see. Maybe.
Why does it got to be maybe? It's either a yes or no thing. We've already established through neurological research that the brain can't focus on two things at once.
But we still try.
So,
Hi,
okay, so let's do an early poll, okay?
We don't have everybody's not here yet, so
it doesn't matter. We're still gonna get evidence and proof, okay? So, if anybody that's tuning on, and thank you to all of our loyal listeners and anybody catching the replay, if you feel that Lynn is in her mind thinking about Mr. Liplock right now, hit 1. If you think that she's thinking about something completely different than Mr. Liplock, please press 2. We will wait to tally your votes right now. So anybody catching on, we got Scott Ricard with us. If you feel that Scott. Lynn is thinking about Mr. Liplock because he's on our show this Friday, press 1. If you think she's thinking about something completely different, press 2. We'll await your replies. Well, yeah, I got to go with Scott on this one. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, thanks, Scott, for your loyalty and being with us every day. It's cool to interact with you.
Oh my gosh, my cheeks are already hurting. We only started the show.
Well, get ready. Friday's not far off, so we got to work. We got to work those cheek muscles. Yeah. What? We never know what this show's going to bring. That's the beauty of it.
I know, right? It's real and raw every day.
I mean, especially when we're about to bring on somebody that Lynn has known for over 30 years onto the show. Come on now. Come on.
Yeah. Well, I've actually known him over 40 years now. So yeah.
40 years. Yeah.
I know. That's kind of crazy. So yeah, it's really cool. What? Oh, that's interesting. My phone just went to Clubhouse.
Nice.
I'm like, no Clubhouse right now. It's our show. So anyhow, so yeah, yesterday our day just went by super fast, and we were talking about our individual thoughts and different kinds of types of love. And so today we're talking about fellow humans and friends and gender, I guess, meaning like the opposite sex.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't know how else to phrase it, so I'm like, well, gender, like,
yeah.
How can you say you love somebody, but it's not like, hey, he just said that he loved you.
Yeah.
But not like being mushy, you need a room type of stuff.
Right. Yeah. And like I
didn't know how else to frame that, so I just said gender.
Yeah. I was like, gender. Okay, I'll go with it. Right. I knew I'd figure it out by today. Yeah. But yeah.
And obviously, like, sorry to cut you off, Lynn, but like the trajectory is like yesterday was a basis, right? Like just getting into the inquiry about what we're talking about and, like the cliff notes or the preamble. But today we're going to dive down deeper into, people that you're aware of or people you run into that, at work or at the gym or wherever, but we're building up for the people that you invest most of your time with and you don't live without, right? That's what we're going to get into over the next couple of days. So it's that perpetual build, to Friday. So what better way than to how you relate to people that you run into, but you may not have an emotional connection to, or you see every day, but it's nothing more than a friendly interaction, or maybe it might be more, maybe you became friends with these people. So just to open up, and hopefully by the end of this week, you might say you love somebody more often without it being weird, but given what we're talking about here, hopefully can open up some opportunities for it.
Well, my thing is I've learned to find something to love about everyone, even the ones that are more difficult to love. I get out of my own way and say, man, they're just so loud, or man, they're this way, because something must have happened in their life. And yet I can love and respect that they stand for their convictions, even though that might not be the appropriate way to respond. But just empathizing with somebody and say, you know, I love that they realize that they're being obnoxious in public, you know, but I love that they're being their authentic self. You know, I mean, like, you can look at these different things and say, what can you find to love about this person? You know, whether you love their hair, their, you know, sense of style and the way they dress, the way they smile, or, you know, just different attributes can make you love or look over people that you even have conflict with, because you can respect them. You know, respect can be to a level of, you know, when we grow up, we're basically imitations of a bunch of people all in one. And what that means is we pick and choose what we like of somebody and we emulate it. We're all copycats in that respect.
Right.
But the cool thing is the combination of copycats of different things you use, that combination makes your own Kool-Aid. You know, just like when you go to Sonic's and you could make 150 combinations of drinks, you know, it's because it's your recipe. It's what you do.
If you're ordering for us, Lynn, I'll take peanut butter. When you're in the Midwest, I'll take peanut butter.
Okay.
Just kidding.
I love it. I think women are better at loving different ways. And I think,
well, I think it goes back. I mean, without getting into Sigmund Freud and the whole evolution, I mean, women are commonly caregivers, right? They're wired entirely different, you know? So, I mean, if we go back to that, I don't even know what you call it, but it's like the male anatomy and the female anatomy. It's like when you look at a guy, it's got an on and off switch. When you look at a woman, it's got levers and buttons and colors, and, you know, it's very complex. So I think you're spot on, but it doesn't mean that one's better than another. It's a part of our species, if you will.
Right.
You know,
well, the book men are for Mars, women are for Venus, kind of thing, you know. And I want to say hi to our friend Charles.
Hey,
Charles in Charge. Love him. Love our group.
Let's everybody throughout the course of the next hour that we're together. Let's see how many references, song references, Charles can use given the context of our conversation.
Right.
Let's see how many we can get throughout the rest of the
absolutely. So yeah, I really love intermittent wipers.
Yeah. Well, she'll be using her intermittent wipers here pretty soon, and if she doesn't have any, guys and girls.
No, I do have some. Hi, Helen. We're glad to see you here.
I wouldn't put it past Lynn when she's on the road to be like, she doesn't show us anything and it's like a 17-second video. Here are my intermittent wipers.
I'll have to remember.
Nebraska. Thank you for watching.
I'll have to put on my to-do list of accomplishments.
Oh yeah. One of the best inventions the automotive industry ever made. Intermittent wipers.
Oh my goodness. So let's see. I'm in the mood for love. All right.
There he goes.
Sugar mamas and daddies. Well, okay. So, you know, loving everyone for their, you know, quirkiness. I'm goofy. I'm quirky. I mean, that's just, you know, I take that with pride. I mean, I'm goofy. I just, you know, that's just who I am. And so, you know, you just got to I love people being individuality. I mean, to use their individually. Like I said, we can every day, we forget we're stuck in the same mode. But if you like some attributes of someone, you can change it. You can adapt it to yours. Yep. Same thing goes with, if you don't like something about yourself, remove it and replace it with something that you love. Love yourself for who you are, and you'll start seeing yourself in other people. And that's how you build a tribe of good people, and not what would.
I can honestly say is that the when you are inconsistent with loving yourself, it creates ripples and struggle in your life. It does. And it shows up in such a way where what you're trying to do, you know, you question yourself, nothing goes well. You know, the way you view one thing is how you view everything, is because you're not being consistent. There's
Yeah.
our Pete
Yeah.
from last Friday.
I
Sandy's.
love Sandy. I'm just excited. This is just a little side note, but talk about loving people. I am so blessed to say, except we haven't had Kim, and I don't know if we'll have Kim before the end of the before I leave, but the fact that I get to meet Larry and Tammy and Sandy, I mean, all in the same area. I'm super excited about that. That's just I love these people,
There
stop
it
in the
is.
name of love. So it's just it's pretty exciting, and that's what I mean. It's the you know when the internet meets the real world, kind of thing,
Yeah.
and you can have that energy, and it's pretty cool. So
I was just singing that. Wow, there's connection between Helen and Charles here in terms of Charles putting out a song title and Helen singing it. That's awesome. Is that when you are, and this is something that I grapple with all the time, but I'm becoming more disciplined with, is that I'm not wavering in terms of my belief in myself, right? Because sometimes it wavers, right? Especially when you're going through what we have gone through. And, I'm a social being. I got to be around people, right? I thrive off of energy of other people and being myself. But when you mute that or when you minimize it, it takes a toll on your body in unknown ways, right? That you
absolutely.
have to, for whatever reason, you have to hold back in who you are. Like, if you're a person that's in front of a group of people, you want to laugh your butt off, right? But
Right.
somewhere along the line, it's like you can't because the social norms or it's the etiquette given the environment. And it's like, really? Ugh. That's ugh. So I have to hold back and be in myself just because it's not socially accepted. No. Right?
Bullshit.
Exactly. Yeah,
Bullshit, like
that's
my
Long
dad's
Island
accent.
BS. Yeah.
No, that's my dad's Puerto Rican accent.
Oh,
That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
bullshit. Bullshit.
Yeah. I start before I go see my dad, I start talking like him a lot because then it helps me understand him a
Sounds
lot.
a
And
little Russian though.
yeah,
Bullshit.
no.
Doesn't look a
It's-
little Russian to me, But
oh,
I just
so,
had to share that because something that you talked about, in terms of finding something, but also though it's like, man, you can take yourself out and really not know why, where you're just not relating to the world, or it's it's up and down roller coaster, right?
mhm,
Because you're not number one, you're not loving yourself, and you're not loving yourself because you're trying to be a different person for different people.
right.
But if you love people regardless and you'll tell it to anybody and be vulnerable with that, eventually that becomes a part of your avatar. That becomes a part of your being. And you don't apologize for that.
No.
If you love people, you love them for all that they are and all that they're not. Period.
And I've had situations recently, as that people that I give a lot of love to, and when they've like shunned me or made me feel whatever, I'm like, I still gonna find things to love them because I feel like I get tested to say, "Oh, Lynn, you love everybody." Well, how are you gonna feel about them being an asshole? Well, I've just learned that I've got to let that go and keep loving it because it's already in me. When I can forgive a lot of things in my past that were really rough and hard for people to forgive, and I was able to, I feel like, okay, this shit's petty. I'm still going to love them, and I mean, I've had family members. I mean, my brother Mark, may he rest in peace. There's a lot of times his brothers and sisters do to each other. Okay. Let's just keep that real. There's a lot of times my brother used me as a scapegoat or an excuse or an alibi or try to act against me or whatever. And he'd always apologize for the things he put me into, the situations. And it's like, I'd forgive him. I mean, how am I not going to forget my brother? Forgive him. He's my brother and I love him. So, I mean, it's one of those things where you realize that when you can forgive and love, it makes your life so much easier. It really
Well,
does.
well, and it's just like looking at opportunities, or like when you're stuck or in your head about things, looking for an opportunity is right there in front of you. But if you're not in the mindset to see it, it's no different than finding one thing you love about somebody else.
Right.
People could cause you harm, and it could be years of lingering, not forgiving somebody. But if you can find one piece, right, that could move you forward, that could be your piece to be like, I'm done with this, I'm complete with this, I no longer want to have this as a burden. You're golden, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be willing to find it, number one, and then number two, give up your pride,
Yep.
right? because you got no pride living through misery. I'll tell you that much, right? But if you're able to give up your pride and find the one good thing that, this person's about or something that keeps it neutral, you don't ever have to live with that anymore. You can move on and say hi to this person, maybe shake a hand, but you don't have to be best friends with them. Like I mentioned yesterday, right? You don't have to be best friends with them, but you can make it neutral, which is a lot better than being negative or ignoring somebody.
Right. And this is what I wrote today.
Mm-hmm.
You gain so much happiness within when you let go and replace painful memories with forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
that was
and,
what I.
About our topic today is like loving fellow human beings. What's up, Jerry?
I love you, Jerry.
An example that I gave yesterday is like, let's say you're in a traffic jam and somebody ahead, you don't know what's going on, but there's paramedics, there might be flight for life. And it's like the best example I can give right now, about being there for another fellow human being is if they're in need, right? You don't have to know them, but just just humanity as a life form, right? That you're there to serve, right? Now, depending on what your definition of it is, but goodwill, right? If you find somebody struggling to carry their groceries, that could be love, right? It's those little gestures that you might not even think about love because of some certain how you're wired or how you've over the years interpreted love or what that is, right? And so that's at base level of what love would be for somebody that's, from somebody that's just a human being on the planet, right? If somebody's struggling, you open a door for them. Right?
Hi, Steve.
What's up, Steve? So everything from there where it's just you the more in touch you're in touch with your heart, your gut, and just things that people have done for you when they didn't have to, right?
Exactly.
And then you carry that on.
Right. Yeah. And you pay things forward, and like I said, it's just like if you're in traffic and you got people coming into the, from the medium and stuff, and you let one person in and then somebody lets somebody else behind. I mean, like, you got to give and take, you can't just.
But there again, I mean, look at that mindset, right? Look at that mindset where it's like you want to be in action. You want to open up that door. You have to be present in order to see any of it, right?
Right.
If you're not present to the moment and just experience all that there is and see where you could offer an opportunity, where you could be of service. If you're not in the mindset, you're not going to see it. Just like if you need an idea for a project or you're trying to figure out something, right? You need an idea, but I think what you need is the mindset to open up an opportunity to see an idea.
Right. Like you need, if you want love in your life, you need to be of love. You need to be of love, of light. You need to be loving to other people. People always think, oh, but I give a lot of love, but you're doing it with expecting to get something in return. And that's where people go wrong.
Well, and commonly if somebody were to say that to me, I don't know. I've just been trained that if through the use of somebody's language, if they keep saying things over and over again, I tend to question it because what are they looking for? Are they looking for a pat on the back? Are they looking for acknowledgement? Because anybody I surround myself with, they do it. You know what I mean? They don't expect anything. Right. But when somebody has to keep bringing it up, I just, as a side note, Lynn, our show has turned into music selections.
Yeah, I know. This is all. Yeah, they're not even listening to us today. They're just trying to beat each other. I see that.
Oh, let's go to Google Top 100.
Yeah, that's probably what they did too.
So, by the way, Charles, if you wouldn't mind, like I know we mentioned, I don't know if you were on at the end of our show yesterday. If you want to take your top love songs, and share it with us on Friday, like maybe post it in the chat or something like that. That'd be great. But your top picks, if the music man that you are, if you want to help us out with that on Friday, as you accumulate and look at different ones, that'd be really cool.
Friday's going to be fun.
Oh yeah. So I think that the mindset is very important. I mean, depending on no matter where you come from, you can find something, right? There's not anything you can't move past with the proper mindset.
Absolutely. And that's just it. We are so trapped in our old record player that we don't realize that you could go to the store, get a new record player and play some new songs. Okay. like George Carlin. We got the old tunes, we got the new tunes, but we never play it.
Get all the tunes.
I loved George Carlin.
And I you get when you do things just out of action, you feel a sense of grace that this is your calling, and you said something earlier that triggered is that several times a year I'll acknowledge people. But it's like there's way too many people to acknowledge for my development and what I wake up to every day. But I know that even going back to my third grade teacher or whatever, anybody that I know that has been in my life is a piece of me.
Right.
It's ridiculous to conclude that it's like you are where you are right now. Your makeup is everybody that was in your world.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I said before. We're a copycat. We pick and choose from the catalog of the world and we make it our own. I mean, why do you think fashion and all those things always come back? It's because everything, and people write books and there's the same topics and the same things. It's verberated in different, verbiage. It's just everything is recycled, but it's just how you recycle it and how you actually present the dish. You could have all the same ingredients and yet do something different with the ingredients. Like you can either put it in oil, like oil could still go in a saute or it can go in a soup. It's just the way how you're going to do it. You're going to smoke it, bake it. All of a sudden, I think it's smoking the pancake.
Smoking it. I don't know. It sounds like something else. Are we talking about food?
I don't know. For a girl that's never even smoked pot, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about right now.
Well, in Montana, they smoke a lot of bison, right? Yeah.
Oh, they got the testicles here too, but who's talking about any of that stuff?
Oh boy.
Rocky Mountain oysters, aka.
Hey, to those of you that love those, rock on. But
in rock on, you mean, right?
That was such a bad pun. It's not even funny. That was such a bad pun. Okay, so everybody look at Lynn's face right now. That's what we want to mimic and echo all of Friday.
Oh my gosh.
So whatever it takes.
Oh, and by the way, this is a digital business card ring right here on my yeah. So, but anyways, so I'm just laughing over here.
When we look at our topic today, I need to share this is that our society, and maybe I'm wrong, but our society has never been more skeptical about anything. So, like given that we all have a different perception of what love is and how we define it and all that, when it shows up in the world by somebody exuding it, we probably don't know what that is, right?
Yeah.
We don't know the person. We don't know their intentions. And it's like we see this unfolding in front of us and like, holy crap, this person loves people.
Yeah.
But by our skepticism, we run them through the mental ringer where it's like, wow, the person has no intention. They're just that good of a person.
Yeah.
Because everybody in the back of their mind is like, what's the catch?
Yeah.
What are you trying to get out of me? Right.
Mm-hmm.
We've been conditioned, unfortunately, that we can't take people at their word or by their actions. So that's why through a consistency of actions and proven actions, that's the only way that we're able to take somebody at their word. It's like, wow, this, and it almost surprises or scares people because it's so rare in the world.
Well, and that's what I love is that I used to I'd hide my light of love from people because I know that they just don't, like being in Montana, it's like, oh my gosh, she's from New York. And, 9/11 came and they're like, oh man, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, people are like, damn, Lynn, you give a lot of value. You coach people, you blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah. So, I mean, that's just who I am. And I won't change the way I am for anybody because I love the fact that I'm unique in that way. I am unique. When somebody's an asshole to me and I could still love and forgive them and still love them, that's who I've become because that's what I chose to be because I used to be really dark and ugly and I chose. And so whatever the situation is, I may banter about it for a minute, but I let it go then. I let it go and I'm back to my love core because nobody's worth rocking my center because if they want to be dicks, they can be dicks around me. I'm still going to love them, but it's going to convict them. It's going to convict them to see, hey,
Well, and let's go there. is that those days where you're on fire, you're doing all your work, it's seamless, it flows really well, there's no disruptions. I have a feeling that you love yourself.
Oh yeah.
You love what you're doing.
Yes.
Your self-belief is at an all-time high. Regardless of who's benefiting from the work or whatever, you feel good by what you're doing, right? Now I'll take those days where it's inconsistent. The work you're even doing, is it worth it? Everything looks dismal, doom and gloom, right? And it starts from other people's opinion of it, which doesn't matter when you're just being it.
Yeah.
It's almost like everybody's like, well, I'm going to be myself until somebody doesn't like it, and then I'm going to conform to what they don't like. Well, wait a minute. No wonder why it's difficult is because you're going to a place that's uncomfortable to you and not who you are.
Right.
And so that roller coaster we go on, it's like, and it's like conformity. I don't care for conformity. Now, could it be a potentially lonely road, or could your friends or peeps, as Sandy Archer says, could that be, you might have to search for your tribe a little bit more? Sure. But is it worth sifting through?
Well,
people to find your people that got your back no matter what.
And that's just it. I used to just love being around and being invisible. I mean, serious. I loved being invisible. For me, that's something I had to create when I was young, in the sense that, I was super shy when I was little, super shy, and mostly because of my uncle and the things that happened to me, being in a bathing suit and the whole 9 yards. But I would have to be invisible because I'd want to go from here to there. I'd have to make pretend that nobody else was met, that I wanted to go from here to there. I had to close things out and just get to my mission and concentrate on that. Same thing goes with, I said I was going to write a book, and I had to be I had to close everything out because that was the end goal. And that's how I've accomplished a lot of things in my life, is to say, I don't like it. Let me change it. I changed my name because of it. I changed the scenery. I mean, all these different things that, for me, that's what I had to do. And it worked for me. So, but now I have these tools, and I wish I had these tools when I was younger. I mean, life would be so different, but that's okay because I can appreciate where I was. And so and the thing is I think because my parents did love me so much when I was little, I was very loved and very spoiled and very apple of everybody's eye when I was little. And then things changed. So I'm blessed to say that I had two different spectrums to compare to. And that's where I held that glimmer of hope. And when I see people, I was talking to somebody the other day or today, and they were saying, there was a part of my life that I was just so happy. I was just so happy. And then it was gone. I said, but you know what? You are blessed that you had a happy moment, because now you can recreate what your next happy moment can be. And don't be sad that it's gone. Be happy that you had it. Correct. Now you have that compared to the shitty relationships you've had. You have a gauge now. And having that gauge gives you okay, this is what I want. This is what I don't want. So let's focus on what I want here. And, people don't realize that spewing out hateness to people only brings back a lot of shit to you. But if you spew out to love, even for people that were in your past, and say, I hope they're happy and I hope they have love, you're just talking just like you would talk to yourself. We are one. We forget we are one here in this earth. So when we wish somebody bad, we're just putting cancer on our own selves. I mean, we're just toxicating. There we go. Toxicating. Well, where the hell did I come with the word toxicating?
Toxicating.
Yeah, toxicating.
God bless my dad. He's been in heaven 11 years. But anytime he was ever wronged,
bye, Charles. His life, love you.
See you later, buddy. Thanks for being here. My dad would say to me, he goes, karma's a blank.
Yeah, it's a bitch.
And so thank you. And it was like he would say it in the most reserved and calm, collected, because he knew that people would get what they're gonna get.
Yeah, you reap what you sow.
You may not pay for it now, but eventually you will pay it by the higher power, just how life shows up.
Yeah, you reap what you sow. I'll never forget this endearing, powerful moment with my dad when he was going through rectum cancer and he was going through radiation and chemo. He was so sick in his pain, and he had a sister that had stomach cancer, and he could never understand her pain. Okay. And he says, he goes, I'm really paying for the things I did. He goes, God, please, I'm sorry that I didn't understand. I didn't have empathy. I didn't, understand. He goes, I'm getting what I didn't give and understand before. And I was just in awe to realize that, that's why I seen such a change in my dad from when he was younger and he would drink and be very frustrated to the man he is now. Because whether you learn this or you learn this young or you learn this later, it's just like medical. Some people go in the medical field and they learn it right away, but all of us will end up knowing about cancer, diabetes. We'll learn and be educated about diseases and things like that, because you don't escape this world without those things affecting your life one way or another. Right. Same thing goes with, you can be hellion when you were young. And that's why some of the oldest, nicest people ever, because they realized their ways when they were younger. And so that's why when you get older, you're wiser, because you finally just get how life works.
Well, and it's crazy because like when we go through life, we don't know what it's going to look like. But then as we go through life and we learn the lessons, and there's very few things that we're able to take with us, right? I mean, and I'm not talking about, I'm talking before we pass on.
Right.
Relationships, friendships, how somebody made you feel, how you made other people feel. But all of the little struggles and obstacles might be the biggest thing on the planet, but in the whole scheme of things, they're very petty. Right. They should, it's kind of like if something tragic happens, is it is it a crisis? Yeah. Does it hurt? Yeah. But how much of that hurt really exists if you're, it's kind of like a reward when you get the lessons from it. Right. Like if it makes you stronger, it makes you better, it makes you more clear. Right. And it's, well, when I run into people that have really not, and it's not a comparison, it's just an observation that when people have really not had much wrong in life,
they don't have as much compassion or empathy or understanding. And it's just like, good example. Let's say from a dog to a grandparent to a parent. You never know how that's going to feel or how that's going to affect you until you do it. And then you become in this tribe, of, and then you realize, holy shit, my friend's parents died when they were young. My friend's parents died, this and that. And you realize I had no magnitude or inkling of what that meant, and losing a child and all these things. I mean, like, until that, like even in school, we had 2 dogs that had died from distemper, like almost back to back. Wow. It was so devastating for us. And, other people like, yes, so your dog died. Like, it's just, again, it's until these things happen, you just don't have the gauge of that shocks you and that takes you aback a minute, and, it's just one of those things, man. We don't know what we don't know until we know.
I think that, a big turning point for me in terms of, because I do have to say in full vulnerability and transparency that before my car accident, I was kind of like, my thought process about life was not vast, right? It was very much in a bubble, right? I mean, being an independent person to the point where it's like if I had to ask for help was painful, right? Because it was a sign of weakness by how I was raised. But then after I was recovering from my accident and being on crutches and even asking people to open up a door if they could, before the handicap doors were installed at hospitals and stuff, is that went to my core, right? But out of that experience though, and everything that I endured, you're not going to do it if you're not in the right mindset.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a big deal. And plus, I mean, there's a certain sense of inner grace, or like, hey, I don't know how I'm going to help people today, but I know that I will be open to the opportunity of that versus,
right,
where you don't see it. And there could be an opportunity here. Somebody can't walk properly. They need help with their walker, whatever it might be, and so that's where it's just there's something in the heart that just gives you a dopamine hit. You feel great. It escalates your day even further.
Yeah.
You know, and here's the thing. You're not, you are doing it for you because it makes you feel good, but you're in the mindset of looking for that, which
Yeah.
starts up here. It's like, well, I want to help people. Great. How do you plan on doing that? I have no idea. Well, I think you need to go a little bit deeper. So, you know, because it's kind of like, you ever notice when you're smiling or laughing, other people are going to look at you differently. And then you might say hi a little bit more often. Or,
Yeah.
you know, you're at the grocery store on the conveyor belt and you put up the little divider thing, right?
Yeah.
You know, there are just so many little things that you can do every day to show love for the general public. And, you know, and obviously, you know, depending on where everybody comes from, it might get a little bit more, I don't know, uncertain, you know, like if it's genders, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, oh, what's the person's intention and
Yeah.
all that stuff that goes on in our world. But just from a standpoint of loving another person, where if you can help somebody, right? And there's nothing more, that's it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
It's
and plus, here's another thing too. Have we all benefited from somebody else's help that we can pay it forward for another? Right? Somebody that went out of their way to do something for us that we didn't expect, or they didn't have to do, but they did it anyway, right? I feel it is our eternal agreement that we do that for other people. Because how many of those times did people just respond and take action without even wondering if they were putting themselves in harm's way, or if it was going to run them late to a meeting, right? Or if they had to put themselves in danger by getting on a road where there's traffic flying by, you know? So paying it forward is huge for me.
Yeah.
Because all it takes is just those people that came to my aid when I didn't know if I was going to live or die. I owe them my life.
Right. Yeah. It's your quality of life, even, you know what
Correct.
I mean? I mean, because you could have had more damage or this or that, you know, It's not a matter of when, but how and how deep that infect. It's just like the intentions. I mean, I think I was shocked and more naive when I realized that when people say, well, gee, I wouldn't have done that. That was really nice, or this or that. And I'm like, what do you mean you wouldn't do that? That's like the right thing to do. They're like, well, it doesn't serve me. It doesn't behoove me to be nice. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, my intentions. And it's like, I was like, I was taught, manners and things like that when I was younger. It's like, where do people forget their manners? Society is better when we have manners, and common sense would be do something like my daughter. I'm real proud of my daughter. She has my 12, well, he's 11 years old. I'm not going to push it. July, he'll be 12. But Blaze, when I leave the house there, he takes my laptop case. He walks me to my car. He opens my door. He closes the door, and he sends me love and all that. Like she's teaching him how to be, and I'm so proud because that's how my brother was, Mark, and stuff. And it's just, everybody say chivalry and blah blah blah, but it's just he can be proud of himself. I mean, like even my daughter, she'll go, back. Let's forget about COVID for a second, and my grandson would go with her at the store, and he would run to go open the door for everybody and close the door and help a lady, and and the people are like, oh, that's so nice. And it just made my daughter really proud, that she doesn't have to tell him, and I, even my older kids and stuff, when somebody does, I go, what do you say? It's just a bad habit.
There's when we look at the world at large, is that just something, and I know it's none of our listeners because of our tribe and who they are and what they're up to in the world. But if anybody is thinking of themselves first, right, that just goes head to head and totally opposite of what Dale Carnegie said back in, I think, the 50s, right? Is that you can learn more about other people by taking a genuine interest in them in 2 months than for them to try to take an interest in you, right? And so if you're like, well, it's me first and then them second, that's going to be a losing life thing, right?
The only time that's good is when you're in an airplane and you should put the oxygen on yourself,
right,
so that you can be more mindful and help more people.
Correct.
So that's why you do it. It's not to be selfish for you to live, but it's for you to continue to help other people.
Well, and there's always going to be a spot or several spots available for people that think others first. There always will be. There always will be a table at the seat for somebody that says, I'm going to step up to the plate, put other people before myself. Ooh, excuse me.
Drink.
There's all. Go ahead, talk, Lynn.
Yeah. So, there are those people that are going to be sitting at the table beforehand and thinking of themselves, but then the outcome is never what they expect, because they expect everyone to be all about that person, and so there are some bad people that even know the laws and the laws of being kind to receive kindness.
Yep.
I mean, and so why the good people don't know this, instead of the good people are like bitching and moaning that, well, but that person put themselves before the other person.
Well, and like, let's look at it like this. If life is getting too tense or too complex, do the opposite.
Yeah.
And by the opposite, I mean, do more for others. Find new ways to do more for others. And it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. It doesn't even have to involve money. It's using that to help other people, love other people, care for other people, but do it consistently, because that consistency will eventually prove to be you in your being. Be, do, and have versus have, do, and be. If I have this, then I will do that. Then I'll become that. That never works. That's when people follow propaganda and they need all this stuff and whatever, right? And then it's like, well, how come that didn't happen yet? How come I have all these cars and all the money I could imagine, but I'm not happy? Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Instead of being,
right.
If I'm being love. Now, here's the thing. You have to be willing to define it for yourself, number one. And number two, not be disrupted by anybody. Because there's not going to be agreement for it 100%, but you're not doing it for agreement because it's you. It's you to the core of your heart and gut.
Well, and people don't remember that kindness doesn't it's like a revolving door per se. Brian is kind to me, but me not being kind back to Brian, that he might not see in his eyes,
right.
But he doesn't see how all of a sudden I took that and paid it forward to somebody else.
Right.
So it means that Brian may never see what I have done in the honor of what Brian did for me. And so he shouldn't be worried about, well, I don't see Lynn paying it back to me. It's not how that works.
No.
It's when, and it's just like the magpies on the cartoons, it's like, how are you? And how are you? And blah, blah, blah. But when people are being kind randomly and surprising people and things like that, there's that element of surprise and kindness when you don't expect it. But don't do it for what it's going to bring to you. Do it because you want to just appreciate somebody.
What I'm encouraging everybody to do that's watching this, like I mentioned earlier, we're starting with people that are not going to go to your core. Right? Like they're not going to be people you're going to be hanging around over Christmas or family gatherings or whatever. But I challenge you to love everybody equally, given that it's a human being that you just run into. If you're going for a walk, you say hi to somebody, right? If they don't say hi back, roll it off. Don't care, right? You did it because it's who you are, right? Or whatever that is. You wave at somebody, whatever, right? But you love people consistently throughout. If they're strangers, if they're of a different gender, regardless of the context. And I'd be willing to say you're probably going to be empowered by it. You're probably going to have a smile on your face, and your life's going to be a lot more simple that way, because there's not the ripples, right? I'm going to say hi to this person, but not that person.
Hi, Colleen.
Hey, Colleen, thanks for tuning in. That gets too complex, and no wonder why this matter up here in the brain gets very difficult to decipher, and you get confused and overwhelmed, is because you're trying to be different things to different people.
Yep. And it's funny because after I got to high school, after being to so many different middle schools and elementary and all that, I started saying hi to everybody, like, I don't even know her. Why is she saying hi to me? I was like, because it was so much easier not to miss all my friends among the people I didn't know yet, you know, and it just looked at me weird because nobody ever did that back in 1980 something.
Well,
Okay. Like, what the hell?
when I was in high school, I was like in the middle of the road. Like I was friends with the jocks, the stoners, the burnouts, the, you know, the tech guys, the truck guys, the hunters, the, you know, everybody, right? I was friends with everybody because I valued everybody the same. Now, you know, obviously those relationships are going to grow and manifest. Scott says being kind to others doesn't cost anything and makes you feel good. Absolutely, 100%.
Absolutely. It's a natural thing to do. I feel bad if I, you know, if I was really into super thoughts because of the things I had to do when I was in high school. And I walked down the hall, and it was one time I'm like so into what I had to do, my list and everything. Somebody said, hi. And I'm like, oh, hi, you know, like it really, like everybody stopped because I wasn't the first one to say hi, but they took time to say hi to me. And it was so funny. I go, oh, hi, you know, and they're like, well, you're a little late today. And it's like, so they did notice, you know, they noticed that.
And let me bring a ridiculous scenario that I just thought of. Imagine you going to a wedding as a guest, and you find out that the master of ceremonies of the staff treats people differently based on who they are in the wedding.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, it's ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
But like, let's take that visual and that understanding and apply it to everyday life. You know how tiresome and you, like, depending on what side you are, how, you know, authentic that feels, how, you know, I mean, as a guest, you're like, well, wait, I'm a human being too. I'm here a part of this event.
Yeah. That's why I find it easy. You're exactly right. That's why I find it easy to forgive everybody and not to hold on to these grudges or these little piddly shit, because I'm not going to let that thing rock the core of me being loving to everybody. It just, you can't split it. You can't be happy and sad at the same time. It just doesn't freaking work.
Well, and no matter which way we cut it, how we look at somebody, our mindset, if we get good sleep, good nourishment, whatever, people are going to be who they're going to be. Period. You know, now how we think about that person, if we choose to engage with them or relate with them or just have it be neutral, right, is our choice.
Yeah.
But if we choose to go further than that, we also need to know that whatever might have riled us up or made us not want to be around him, that's probably going to show up again.
Yeah. Whatever you resist persists. And that's what people don't seem to understand. And, you know, it's very powerful what you put out there, because your subconscious does not know if you're talking about yourself or someone else.
Correct.
And so that's what people don't understand. And we call it karma. We call it whatever, law, whatever you want to call these things. But the result is always the same. And, you know, like they used to call, what is it? Murphy's Law, whatever you want to call it.
What was that? What kind of law?
Murphy's Law.
Okay.
Murphy's Law. Yeah. And so, yeah, it doesn't matter. It all comes out to be the same result. And people will say, oh, but I didn't choose this and I didn't choose that. And it's like, well, let me ask you this. Did you ever judge anybody for that situation? Yeah, maybe. Okay, then you asked for it. You asked for it. And they're like, what? What do you mean? I said, judge not, ye not be judged. Right back at you, baby.
It's interesting about how just by your use of language usually gives you an understanding by the first few words that somebody says about like are they there to love somebody, or is it like me first and them second?
Yeah.
Right? Like I. Well,
you know, it's funny you say that, because a lot of times I'll write stuff and I'll try to pull out the word I so that I'm not focusing on me, but getting my point across, because I get conscientious about that as well. But we do have this thing about, you know, that fight or flight kind of thing. And we get into that negative state. But that's a state we can control. Like you said, the 5-second rule. To me, it's a 3-second rule. Like, don't let that ruin a good, perfect day for being humble.
Well, and you bring up the fight or flight. I mean, the amygdala. That's what controls that. And the only reason for the amygdala is to keep us alive, right?
Right.
Which we do a pretty good job of, but it doesn't really have anything in store for us other than to keep us alive. You know.
Hi, Scott.
It's feeling good. Yeah, there he is, Mr. Liplock.
Yeah. Mr. Liplock.
Thanks for being here.
Busy.
we're grateful that you made time for us on Friday, given your busy schedule.
I made a new clip. Look at.
Got a great show I've been watching. Real and Raw with Lynn and Brian. They do it during the week, and it's really good. Real and raw. Yeah, I know it sounds kind of like, but they keep it clean most of the time.
What does really
most
mean?
of the time.
We got to have him do that when it's like, sorry, Scott, I did the best I could, like real and raw. We got to have him do that on Friday, so we have it in its entirety.
You know, if you look at that clip, I think he was like really didn't know what he was gonna. Well, I'll have to evaluate that on Friday. But he was just like, yeah, you know, my yeah. It's like, I can't believe I'm saying this on a. Never mind.
And it's like, oh, I said it, so let's have some fun with it.
You can just tell like he's not looking at the camera, but he's looking at like I don't know what I'm just gonna say.
Like a little eyebrow raise. Like
we're gonna have to review. We're gonna have to play. I'm gonna have to figure out how to record that in slow motion.
Okay, we're gonna slow this down by like 3/4. You know,
yeah. He's such a good friend. Like I'm like, I hope you don't mind when I'm just raving about how much I love you on my show. He's like, it's all good. But like I said, you guys are gonna fall in love with him when you meet him. He's really such a good guy. Like he's no nonsense. I'll take 10. I'll take 100 Scots any day of the week as far as the mannerism, the joyful, you know, somebody that's gone through a lot in life that has turned his things he's gone through in life and he's epitome of paying it forward and making too much pressure.
No, not you.
No, not at all. But he really helps you look at the fact that paying it forward is such a good thing to do for yourself and for others. And he's just such a caring and giving guy. And I love finding somebody that's like-minded like me to hang out with. So, yeah.
And we want to make sure that Lynn blushes like crazy.
Shut up.
We're gonna have a person, a man that she's known for over 40 years on our show. If there wasn't like distance, they'd be never mind.
Yeah. Okay, let's go back to
See right there. She wants to move on because it's getting a little tense.
Está caliente ahora mismo.
I have no idea. This is an English show.
I said it's getting hot right at that moment. Caliente.
That sounds like an opening line for some other kind of movie. Anyhow, moving on. We don't need to go there. Yeah.
No, we don't. So
yeah, we're kind of narrowing it down. Any more thoughts about this? I know we're coming, we got a few minutes left in our show.
Well, as far as the gender thing, I mean, like, I think for the longest time, I haven't had a problem telling my friends that I love them because, like I said, at 14 years old, losing a friend, I mean, I just, and losing my grandmother early and things, to me, it was just always imperative to stop the madness of people going crazy and say, let me ask you a question. If that person died tomorrow, how would you feel? And I would make people cry because they go, holy shit. And I make people hug and tell each other loving, I love you. It's like because people forget the inevitable and people have so many regrets. And I've seen many people have regrets because they never shared those things. So loving people and realizing that at the end of the day, loving people more than their flaws or what they're doing is so much more important. We are not what we say or what we do. That doesn't define who we are as a core. But, you may be, your reaction to something and you might be pissed off and you might come off like a jerk, but that was probably heat of the moment. I mean, but that does not define who you are or what you normally do on a daily basis or whatever. So, people see you, like the Three's Company, they always find people walking in at the inopportune moment and their perception is like really warped or flirty or whatever. It's one of those things. I guess Brian left and hopefully he'll be right back. So basically what happens is we forget that we are allowed to be who we want to be, but make sure that you love people. Don't allow the pettiness of every day to infect who you are at the core, because people will perceive you the wrong way. And I don't know where Brian is, and hopefully he's going to be back here. So there he is. He's back. He's back. So,
recap the last 15 seconds.
Oh, I just basically said, just don't be careful of your behavior and how people will perceive you wrong or speculate that they know you from that demeanor. But the bottom line is you should show love.
Mm-hmm.
So
my two things I want to impart is that there's no denying your intention. There's no denying your actions, right? Like I just look at, like, let's say somebody's off on the side of the road and they need help, right? Or, I don't have another example, but it's like you're in action, right?
Right.
There's no other intention. There's no ulterior motive. It's just to help, right?
Right.
And believe it or not, but there's everyday occurrences that are right there. But if we're not in the mindset of feeling it, we're definitely not going to see it.
Absolutely.
In the grocery store, running errands, right? Letting somebody cut in, or maybe they need to get over a lane, right?
Yeah, you don't know if they're in an
people.
emergency. You don't know if what's going on in their life that they need that help or that kindness. Don't ever prejudge, but realize that you could be helping somebody out.
Yep.
When somebody's frustrated, they're frustrated. You got to stop and think. It's not about you or they're frustrated to you, but they could be having something going on in their life that you don't know what's going on.
Well,
so show them love.
And that brings up, let me give a real ridiculous situation, right? It's ridiculous. Is that person cut in front of you to get into traffic because you were upset. They did it purposely to piss you off, to get cut in front of you while getting on an expressway.
Whereas the truth could be is that their baby just got in an accident and they're trying to hurry up to get to the hospital.
Correct. Or they just got off of work and it's been a hellacious day. And, and here's the thing, we're making meaning about something that they're unaware of.
Right. Yeah.
They just want to get on the expressway to go home to be with their family.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Like, but consider that when you see somebody speeding down the road, they could be going in an emergency, or it could be a life-threatening situation, or they could have an emergency themselves and try to get themselves to the hospital. You don't know why people are doing whatever, but give them the grace to say, you know what? I don't know. I wish you well. I'm getting out of your way, buddy. And that's what I do. I'm like, oh man, I hope where you need to go is that important. Because if it's to the red light over there, shit, you just messed up your brakes more because you're gonna need your brakes or whatever. So,
and that's what my girlfriend is imparting to me, right? She's imparting to me, just give people grace.
Yeah.
Give people grace. It makes you feel better. It makes your health better. It makes your days go better.
So let me ask you this. How many times have you assumed the wrong damn thing about what was going on in somebody's situation? And then when they have time, they go, hey, Brian, come here. Yesterday, I just found out I have cancer, or my dog is dying, or this and that, and I was an ass to you, and I'm really sorry. Now, do you feel like an ass because you took it personal? You know what I mean? Like, give, like you said, not only grace, and I love you said that, but just give the benefit of the doubt. Let it go, and don't take it freaking personal, because you just deem somebody else. When they're having a shitty time, you're just deeming them to have a more shitty time.
Right.
Don't exasperate the problem that this person's having and inflict your opinions on them too. Don't do that.
Well, and when you give people grace, you're calming your mind down.
Mm-hmm.
You're calming your mind down to just be fluid, to be open, and whatever happens, but you're not making brash decisions. And because, let's be honest, our brain is a meaning-making machine.
Yeah.
Our brain never wants to have anything incomplete.
And like my Laura Smith would say, like this, they say in the South, oh, bless your heart. They might be saying something else to you, but they're smart. They're doing it in a blessing way.
Right.
Oh, bless your heart.
Well, and
because they're not throwing the venom out. You know what I mean?
And you ever notice that the more that somebody is assuming, the more that they get enraged, they get elevated. That they just need the answer, instead of, if they're in a place of grace, to be like, that person, number one, they suspend that it's about them, right? Like they automatically, the meaning making machine wants to make it about them. Like, what did I do?
They know what I did? I'm guilty as shit.
Blah, 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 blah. It's
Yeah.
But when you're looking at the other person and you carve out a space for them, that it's like, hey, I don't know what you're dealing with, but I'm here for you.
Exactly.
That's much different than it's like, I know you're dealing with some stuff, but I want to make it about me.
Yeah, you diffuse in the situation, and you're giving the opportunity to let it be.
All is forgiven. That is, yeah, absolutely. And there's been countless times, breakups, heartbreak. What's that person doing? They haven't responded. What are they thinking? This is going on autopilot, because that's what it does.
Meanwhile, they forgot their cell phone at home and they can't answer your ass. Hello, McFly. We got to get going on that note. Yeah. But love people and don't assume shit. And I won't make an ass of you and me. And we could all live happily.
Here's a contest, or like a little challenge I want to give to everybody. See how many times throughout a day or a week or whatever that duration is to say hi to people or to show people love, right? In your own way. Have a little contest with yourself. I know some people see how many coffees they can get away from the person behind them at Starbucks, right? Or how many people you can open the door for at the grocery store, right? Or how many people in your neighborhood you can help out with their lawn because they can't do it, or snow removal or whatever, right? See how many times you can do that for another, right? If you know that somebody's recovering from surgery, can you make them a couple meals so they don't have to worry about it, right? But that only happens if you're in the mindset to see the opportunities, because they're not going to pop out without going there first.
Absolutely. Okay, great show, you guys.
Yeah.
Have a great day. We will see you on day 3 tomorrow, and see you later, Lip Luck. Bye.